Hello, creative, and welcome back to the Empowered Creatives podcast, finding confidence between hustle and burnout. I'm your host, Victoria Hines, creative career coach, helping creatives just like you level up or find your next path in your career. So this podcast episode is going to be a pretty big update on me and what's going on in my life. So last solo episode, we talked a lot about embracing the season that you're in and really figuring out what that season is and what's the priority. And that episode came from a place of I've been on that own journey myself of figuring out, as I move into my 30s, as the pandemic sort of fades a little bit behind us, getting out of survival mode and into what do I want my future to look like and how can I make that happen? And I have some pretty big changes coming up. So the biggest one is I'm actually going to be leaving Chicago for a while. This was a decision that did not come easily. I have been here for an incredible 8 years, 9 years. It'll be going on 9 years this January. And this city has been one of the most challenging, but also rewarding places to really discover who I am as an artist, as an actor, as an entrepreneur, as an adult, figuring my way out through those awful 20-something years, which really are difficult. So give yourself some credit if you're in your 20s right now. But after these eight wonderful years, I also haven't been happy for a while. I noticed every time I flew to visit friends or my sister and I would come back to Chicago, I just felt sad and stressed and depressed and not like myself. And every time I went on an adventure somewhere else, I just felt re-energized again. And it's been slowly happening, I would say, the last 4 years or so, but it's sort of like the magic that I once felt in this city has been trickling away. And I know it's not the city. I know it's me and my perception. And I've tried a lot of different things to see if that magic would come back, to see if it was temporary. I've gone on. I've left the city for 6, 7 weeks and came back. And no matter what I do, that feeling deep in my gut that something's off has persisted. Spoiler alert, I don't think I told many of you, but I actually went cat sitting in Savannah, Georgia this summer. I was looking for a way to escape, ended up with a really great opportunity to cat sit these 2 adorable black cats. I am now convinced I really want a black cat in my future because they are adorable and cuddly as all get out. But I met my new boyfriend in Savannah. And not something I talk about on this podcast a lot either. And I'm not going to dive into it because I'm pretty private with my personal life. But I've not had the best dating history. We will leave it at that. Sort of what it's been. And I met this really wonderful, incredible human out there. And walking away from that experience, wondering, wow, how did I wind up with this cat sitting gig, happen to get on Hinge at the right exact time to meet this wonderful human being. And somehow he became somebody that was really important in my life. And I feel like that trip down to Savannah really showed me that my season right now is a season of exploration of place. If Chicago's not feeling like the right place for me right now, then trying to force fit it into my life isn't what I should be doing. So this December, I will be putting most of my stuff in storage. So simplifying all of the stuff that I have as much as I love it and having a little bit of a nomadic venture. So hopping. I work remotely. I work remotely in my business. I work remotely at my full-time day job. So I'm going to be hopping around different places in America, spending time with friends, loved ones, people I know and have met along my journey, and just exploring what it's like to travel for a little bit. I'm really excited about this new space. And I think, as scary as it is, I feel this need to make space and clear the slate for what the next chapter in my life is. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know who it's going to include, you know? Who knows where this relationship will go? Who knows what places I'll discover along the way? I could wind up realizing, you know what? I really want to live back in Chicago. But every time I think about, kind of just opening up the space of what might be next and getting rid of the ties I have to my current place, my current situation, it just feels right. Now, regardless, this has not been an easy decision. And I think I've tiptoed my way into this much, much, much bigger leap in my life. In fact, letting go has probably been the hardest part. I have been blessed to have some really incredible roommates. And I am so grateful that when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, I had a support group. I had people I lived with who have lifted me up, who have helped me to become a better person. We have taken each other to the ER. We have gone on trips together. We found fun and ways to make just a lot of joy out of a really shitty situation. And I am so deeply grateful for that support system and for these friendships in my life. And I think there was this fear that if I moved away, I let that go, I opened myself up to something new, that I would be, getting rid of this support system, that I would be alone, I would be lonely. And that, I think, has been the most challenging part of realizing that just because I move, just because I'm stepping into the next phase of my life, it doesn't mean that I'm letting go of these friendships. It doesn't mean that the support system goes away. It's just going to look a little bit different, and that's okay. That's healthy. That's what growth and change looks like. And it's hard and it's difficult. There's part of me that's like, oh, if I could only go back to, in all honesty, sometimes I wish I could go back to the energy and fear and excitement I felt in that first year starting this business. Um, because I can tell you 2 years into any business, it doesn't quite feel the same. The challenges never go away, but they do get different. But I am a firm believer that your gut knows. Your gut, your instincts, they always know better than you, your brain, any reason could possibly tell you. I know a lot of people tell you to do that, pros and cons list, which sometimes that works. But in all honesty, some of these bigger life decisions, I think sometimes you just have to go with the gut because they rely a lot more on a leap of faith. It's impossible for me to know what things I will open myself up to by letting go of where I'm currently at now. So, all of this being said, I I wanted to reassure you about this business, about this podcast. So here's what's going to stay the same. I will still be producing this podcast. I love this podcast. I love sharing wisdom for you, bringing some really incredible artistic and scientific guests on this show. I might take a hiatus in December for the holidays to spend more time with my family, but I will be back and I will keep you in the know about what's happening with this podcast. I will still be doing my biweekly newsletter. It's something that has brought me so much joy. I enjoy writing to each and every one of you. If you're not on the newsletter, head to my website and you can hop on it. Yes, but writing to that email audience is something that fills me with joy and it will not be going away. I will also still be doing one on one coaching. So I have some incredible clients right now. And My roster will stay pretty small just because fewer clients means that I get to give better services and I can stay bespoke and individualized in my approach with every single one of my clients, which is really, really important to me. Offering affordable services relative to the market, as well as making sure that I show up to wherever my clients are individually at, is something that's incredibly important to me. And with my attention and energy and moving, knowing that I have a few special clients I can show up for is very, very important. That being said, the clarity calls will also not go away. So you can always sign up for a 3 30-minute clarity call and we can talk about working together, whether that's now, months down the road, or whatever works best for you. So here's a few things that might change. So I might be posting more on Instagram or sharing stories about my travels a little bit more. So I think I'm going to try experimenting with blending what is it like to post, creative advice, career advice, as well as what's it like to travel? What's it like to open yourself up to that next phase of your journey? And I'll definitely be sharing any discoveries I make along the way. So, I just wanted to share these pretty big updates with you because they're going to be greatly impacting my life. And I'm excited for whatever this journey might hold. So, your one thing this week and what I'm going to challenge you to do or think about. If you could change one thing in your life today that would make the biggest positive impact on your mental health and joy, what would you change and why? Now, you may not actually be able to enact this change today. For me, contemplating leaving Chicago has been a very slow journey of exploration that I've probably been thinking about for, I would say, solidly the last 2 years. But starting to recognize where in your life you aren't happy or where joy is missing or where you're feeling a lot of friction can really help you start to deduce what exactly needs to change in the future. And that's your leaping point to start experimenting with the possibility of change. So, if you're enjoying this podcast, do be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with a friend. Share it with a friend who's on their own creative journey. Until next week, stay creative.